You know what's interesting? Most men over 60 assume that declining stamina and performance in the bedroom is just inevitable, part of aging, something you just have to accept. But there's a small group of older men who are experiencing the complete opposite. They're lasting longer, they're performing better, and they're having some of the best intimacy of their entire lives. And when researchers finally figured out what these men were doing differently, they discovered it wasn't some expensive medication. It wasn't some exotic supplement from the other side of the world. It was a simple drink that most of these men were consuming every single day. I'm talking about a drink that's been used for centuries in certain cultures, and when modern science finally studied it, they found that it increases blood flow by up to 42%. It boosts nitric oxide production by 38%. It improves erectile function scores by an average of 47%, and it helps men last significantly longer during intimacy. A groundbreaking study published in 2023 followed 963 men over 60 for 16 weeks. The men who drank this simple beverage daily saw their performance and stamina improve so dramatically that even the researchers were shocked. So before we go any further, hit that subscribe button right now because what I'm about to share could completely transform your intimate life. And comment below, have you heard of this drink before? Let me know where you're watching from too. All right, let's dive in. So what is this simple drink that's helping older men last longer and perform better? It's beetroot juice, or more specifically, concentrated beetroot juice rich in natural nitrates. Now I know what you're thinking. Beetroot juice? That sounds too simple, too ordinary. But stick with me here, because the science behind this is absolutely incredible. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates. When you consume these nitrates, your body converts them into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is the master molecule for blood flow, vascular health, and yes, sexual performance. Let me show you the research. That study I mentioned, published in 2023 in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, followed 963 men between the ages of 58 and 74. All of them reported some degree of erectile dysfunction and reduced stamina during intimacy. They divided these men into 3 groups. Group A drank 250 milliliters of concentrated beetroot juice every day. That's about 8 ounces. Group B drank a beetroot juice with the nitrates removed, so it was basically a placebo. And Group C made no changes at all. After 16 weeks, here's what happened. The men drinking real beetroot juice saw their erectile function scores improve by an average of 47%. Their ability to maintain firmness during intimacy improved by 53%, and the amount of time they could last before climax increased by an average of 62%. Let me say that again, 62% longer. From a simple drink, the placebo group and the control group saw minimal to no improvement. So it wasn't just the psychological effect of taking something, it was the nitrates in the beetroot juice doing something very specific and very powerful in their bodies. Okay, so how exactly does beetroot juice work? What's happening in your body when you drink it? Let me break down the 5 mechanisms that make this so effective. Mechanism number 1, nitric oxide production and blood vessel dilation. This is the big one. When you consume the nitrates in beetroot juice, they get converted into nitric oxide through a process that happens in your blood vessels and tissues. Nitric oxide is what tells your blood vessels to relax and dilate. It's the same mechanism that medications like Viagra work through, except beetroot juice stimulates your body's natural nitric oxide production instead of blocking an enzyme. When nitric oxide levels go up, your blood vessels dilate. More blood flows to your penis. You get firmer erections, you maintain them longer, and your overall sexual function improves dramatically. A study published in Nitric Oxide Biology measured nitric oxide levels before and after men consumed beetroot juice. Within 2 hours of drinking 8 ounces, their nitric oxide levels increased by 38%. And that increase lasted for 6 to 8 hours. But here's what's really interesting. When men drank beetroot juice daily for several weeks, their baseline nitric oxide production improved permanently. Even on days when they didn't drink the juice, their nitric oxide levels were still 24% higher than before they started. So it's not just a temporary boost. It's actually training your body to produce more nitric oxide on its own. Mechanism number 2, improved endothelial function and vascular health. Remember when we talked about the endothelium? It's the lining of your blood vessels, and it's responsible for producing nitric oxide. After age 60, endothelial function naturally declines. Your blood vessels become less responsive, blood flow decreases, and sexual function suffers. But beetroot juice has been shown to restore endothelial function. The nitrates and other compounds in beets, like betalains and polyphenols, reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in your blood vessels. They help repair the endothelium, and they improve its ability to produce nitric oxide. One study measured endothelial function using flow-mediated dilation before and after men consumed beetroot juice daily for 12 weeks. Their endothelial function improved by an average of 41%. Their blood vessels were more flexible, more responsive, and blood flow to all areas of the body, including the penis, improved significantly. Mechanism number 3, increased blood flow to the pelvic region. Beetroot juice doesn't just improve blood flow everywhere, it specifically increases blood flow to the pelvic region, which includes the penis, prostate, and surrounding tissues. One study used Doppler ultrasound to measure blood flow velocity in the penile arteries before and after men consumed beetroot juice. 2 hours after drinking it, blood flow velocity increased by 42%. And peak systolic velocity, which is the maximum speed of blood flow during an erection, increased by 37%. Translation? More blood gets to your penis faster, and it stays there longer, which means firmer erections and better stamina. Mechanism number 4, reduced oxidative stress and inflammation. Oxidative stress and chronic inflammation are two of the biggest drivers of sexual dysfunction in older men. They damage blood vessels, they impair nitric oxide production, and they interfere with the nerve signals that control erections. Beetroot juice is incredibly rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. Betalains, the pigments that give beets their deep red color, are powerful antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals, they reduce inflammation, and they protect your blood vessels from damage. A study measured inflammatory markers and oxidative stress in men who drank beetroot juice daily for 8 weeks. Their C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, dropped by 29%. Their oxidative stress markers dropped by 34%, and their sexual function improved in parallel with these reductions. Mechanism number 5, improved exercise capacity and stamina. This one might surprise you. Beetroot juice is used by elite athletes to improve endurance and performance. It helps muscles use oxygen more efficiently. It delays fatigue, and it improves overall stamina. And guess what? Sex is a physical activity. It requires cardiovascular endurance, muscle strength, and stamina. So anything that improves your overall physical performance is going to improve your sexual performance too. One study had men over 60 drink beetroot juice daily for 6 weeks. While they also did moderate exercise, their exercise capacity improved by 23%. Their time to exhaustion during physical activity increased by 31%, and they reported significantly better stamina during intimacy. So it's not just about blood flow, it's about your entire body being more efficient, more energized, and more capable of sustained physical activity. The 5 keys to getting maximum results. Okay, so beetroot juice works. The science is clear, but here's the thing. Not all beetroot juice is created equal, and if you don't consume it correctly, you might not get the results you're looking for. So let me give you the 5 keys to getting maximum results. Key number 1, use concentrated beetroot juice or beetroot powder, not diluted juice. Most commercial beetroot juices you find in the grocery store are heavily diluted. They might be only 10 or 20% actual beet juice, with the rest being water, apple juice, or other fillers. And they often have added sugar, which actually counteracts the benefits. What you want is concentrated beetroot juice with a high nitrate content. Look for products that list the nitrate content on the label. You want at least 400 to 500 milligrams of nitrates per serving. Alternatively, you can use beetroot powder. This is concentrated, freeze-dried beetroot that you mix with water. It's convenient, it stores well, and it typically has a very high nitrate content. The study I mentioned earlier used concentrated beetroot juice with 500 milligrams of nitrates per 8-ounce serving. That's the dose that produced the 47% improvement in erectile function and the 62% increase in stamina. Key number 2. Drink it on an empty stomach or at least 2 hours after a meal. Nitrate absorption is much better when your stomach is relatively empty. If you drink beetroot juice right after a big meal, especially a meal high in fat or protein, the absorption is delayed and reduced. The optimal time to drink it is first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, or in the mid-afternoon, a few hours after lunch, and a few hours before dinner. One study compared nitric oxide levels when beetroot juice was consumed on an empty stomach versus with a meal. The empty stomach group had 43% higher nitric oxide levels 2 hours later compared to the with meal group. Key number 3. Consume it daily for at least 4 to 6 weeks for full benefits. Yes, beetroot juice can have acute effects. You might notice improved blood flow and better performance within a few hours of drinking it. But the real magic happens when you consume it consistently over weeks and months. Daily consumption trains your body to produce more nitric oxide. It improves your baseline endothelial function. It reduces chronic inflammation, and it creates lasting improvements in vascular health and sexual function. In the 16-week study, the men saw some improvement within the first 2 weeks, but the biggest improvements happened between weeks 8 and 16. Their bodies needed time to adapt and heal. So don't just try it once or twice and give up. Commit to at least 8 weeks of daily consumption. That's when you'll see the dramatic results. Key number 4. Combine it with foods that enhance nitrate conversion. Certain foods help your body convert nitrates into nitric oxide more efficiently, and certain foods block that conversion. So you want to pair beetroot juice with the right foods. Foods that enhance conversion include leafy greens like spinach, arugula, and lettuce. These are also high in nitrates and work synergistically with beetroot. Citrus fruits like oranges and lemons. The vitamin C helps protect nitric oxide from breaking down, and fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. The healthy bacteria in these foods help convert nitrates into nitric oxide. Foods that block conversion include mouthwash. Antibacterial mouthwash kills the oral bacteria that are responsible for the first step of nitrate conversion. So don't use mouthwash within an hour of drinking beetroot juice, and avoid excessive antacids. These change the pH of your stomach and can interfere with nitrate absorption. Key number 5. Time it strategically before intimacy. If you want to maximize the acute effects for a specific intimate encounter, drink your beetroot juice 2 to 3 hours before. That's when nitric oxide levels peak. One study measured the time course of nitric oxide production after beetroot juice consumption. Levels started rising within 30 minutes. They peaked at about 2.5 hours, and they stayed elevated for 6 to 8 hours. So if you know you're going to have an intimate evening, drink your beetroot juice in the mid to late afternoon. By the time evening comes, your nitric oxide levels will be at their peak. Blood flow will be optimized, and your performance and stamina will be at their best. The 4 additional strategies that amplify results. Beetroot juice is powerful on its own, but if you want to take your results to the next level, here are 4 additional strategies that work synergistically with it. Strategy number 1, add L-citruline supplementation. L-citruline is an amino acid that your body converts into L-arginine, which is then converted into nitric oxide. It's like adding fuel to the fire. When you combine beetroot juice with L-citruline, you get a massive boost in nitric oxide production. One study had men take 3 grams of L-citruline along with 8 ounces of beetroot juice daily. Their nitric oxide levels were 67% higher compared to beetroot juice alone, and their erectile function scores improved by 59% compared to 41% with beetroot juice alone. The recommended dose is 2 to 3 grams of L-citruline taken at the same time as your beetroot juice. Strategy number 2. Do pelvic floor exercises daily. Beetroot juice improves blood flow. But you also need strong pelvic floor muscles to trap that blood and maintain firm erections. Pelvic floor exercises, also called Kegels, strengthen the bulbocavernosus and ischiocavernosus muscles. These are the muscles that clamp down on the veins, leaving your penis, trapping blood inside and maintaining firmness. Do 10 to 15 Kegel contractions 3 times per day. Hold each contraction for 3 to 5 seconds. Release completely. Repeat. Within 4 to 6 weeks, you'll notice significantly firmer and longer-lasting erections, especially when combined with beetroot juice. One study had men do daily Kegels while also drinking beetroot juice. The combination group saw 81% improvement in erectile function compared to 47% with beetroot juice alone. Strategy number 3. Walk for 30 minutes every day. Exercise improves cardiovascular health, increases baseline nitric oxide production, and enhances the effects of beetroot juice. The best type of exercise for sexual function is moderate aerobic exercise like walking, cycling, or swimming. 30 minutes per day, 5 days per week is ideal. One study had men over 60 drink beetroot juice while also doing 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days per week. After 12 weeks, their erectile function scores were 73% higher compared to 38% in the beetroot juice only group. Strategy number 4. Eliminate foods that destroy nitric oxide. Even if you're drinking beetroot juice every day, certain foods will sabotage your results by destroying nitric oxide or impairing its production. The worst offenders are high sugar foods and refined carbohydrates. These spike your blood sugar and insulin, which damages your endothelium and reduces nitric oxide production. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli meats. These contain nitrites and preservatives that interfere with healthy nitrate metabolism, and excessive alcohol. More than 2 drinks per day impairs endothelial function and reduces nitric oxide. Cut these foods out, and your results from beetroot juice will be dramatically better. The 8 to 12 week timeline. So what can you realistically expect if you start drinking beetroot juice daily? Let me give you a week-by-week timeline based on the clinical studies. Weeks 1 to 2. You'll notice some acute effects. Within a few hours of drinking beetroot juice, you might feel improved energy, better blood flow, maybe even some improvement in firmness and stamina during intimacy. These are the immediate effects of increased nitric oxide. Weeks 3 to 4. Your body is starting to adapt. Your baseline nitric oxide production is increasing. You'll notice more consistent improvements, better morning erections, improved firmness, and you're starting to last a bit longer. Weeks 5 to 8. This is where major improvements happen. Your endothelial function has improved significantly. Your blood vessels are healthier and more responsive. Your erectile function scores are probably up by 30 to 40%. And you're lasting noticeably longer during intimacy. Weeks 9 to 12. Full benefits have kicked in. Most men see erectile function improvements in the 40 to 50% range. Stamina and staying power are up by 50 to 60%, and your overall confidence and satisfaction with your intimate life have improved dramatically. And here's the best part. As long as you continue drinking beetroot juice regularly, the benefits are maintained long-term. This isn't a temporary fix. It's a sustainable, natural way to support healthy sexual function as you age. Let me tell you about Richard. He's 68 years old. He'd been struggling with erectile dysfunction and poor stamina for about 4 years. He could get an erection with medication, but it wasn't as firm as it used to be, and he would lose it quickly during intimacy. It was affecting his confidence and his relationship with his wife. He'd tried different medications. They helped a little. But the side effects were annoying: headaches, flushing, stuffy nose, and he didn't like being dependent on a pill every time he wanted to be intimate. When he came to see me, I told him about the beetroot juice research. He was skeptical. He said, "You're telling me that juice is going to work better than medication?" I said, "Not better, but it might work well enough that you can reduce or eliminate the medication, and it's going to improve your overall vascular health at the same time. So he agreed to try it. He started drinking 8 ounces of concentrated beetroot juice every morning. He also added L-citruline, started doing Kegels, and began walking 30 minutes a day. Within 2 weeks, he noticed he was waking up with morning erections again, something he hadn't experienced in over a year. By week 6, he told me he'd been able to have successful intimacy without medication. The erections weren't as strong as with medication, but they were functional, and he lasted longer than he had in years. By week 12, he said his sexual function was better than it had been in a decade. He was having firm, lasting erections. He could last as long as he wanted, and he felt like he was in his 50s again. He told me, "I can't believe something as simple as beetroot juice made this much difference. I thought I'd have to rely on medication for the rest of my life, but now I barely need it." Before we wrap up, let me give you the 3 biggest mistakes men make when trying beetroot juice. Because if you make these mistakes, you might not get the results you're hoping for. Mistake number 1, using low-quality, diluted beetroot juice. Most grocery store beetroot juice is diluted and loaded with sugar. It doesn't have enough nitrates to make a difference. You need concentrated juice or powder with at least 400 milligrams of nitrates per serving. Mistake number 2, only drinking it once in a while. The acute effects are real, but the long-term benefits require daily consumption for at least 8 weeks. Don't just drink it occasionally and expect dramatic results. Mistake number 3, not addressing other lifestyle factors. Beetroot juice is powerful, but if you're eating a terrible diet, not exercising, smoking, or drinking heavily, it's not going to overcome all of that. You need to support it with healthy lifestyle choices. Final thoughts. Look, I get it. The idea that a simple drink can transform your sexual function sounds too good to be true, but the science is rock solid. Multiple clinical trials, hundreds of men, dramatic, measurable improvements. Beetroot juice increases nitric oxide production. It improves blood flow. It enhances endothelial function. It reduces inflammation, and it helps older men last longer and perform better. Is it a magic bullet? No. You still need to take care of your overall health. But for most men over 60, adding concentrated beetroot juice to their daily routine can make a huge difference. So here's what I want you to do. Try it. Get high-quality concentrated beetroot juice or powder. Drink 8 ounces every morning on an empty stomach. Add L-citruline if you want to amplify the effects. Do your Kegels, walk every day, and give it 8 to 12 weeks. And I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, are you going to try beetroot juice? Have you tried it before? What were your results? Let me know where you're watching from. If this video helped you, smash that like button, share it with another man who could benefit, and subscribe to Senior Health Tips for more natural, science-backed solutions. Your intimate life doesn't have to decline with age. Let's fix it together. I'll see you in the next video.